The title really says it all. I mean, it's not exactly odd to go to McDonald's at 3 a.m. I'm sure we've all been there, hungry in the middle of the night, wanting something, and a burger seems the greatest option, especially when it's cheap. That was my case. A few months back, I had horrible pregnancy cravings, and my boyfriend was at work and wasn't able to stop and get me one. But they were so bad. I ended up deciding it'd be best if I just got up and walked the half-mile to get there. So I did. I grabbed my phone and a zip-up and made my way for the McDonald's down the street. I didn't feel a need to grab any keys or a knife. All that mattered was this craving to go away. And something that would have normally taken me 5 or 10 minutes took me 30. I couldn't help but feel I was being followed. It was just that subtle feeling, like the chills. My body would jolt when I got this feeling. I've had it all my life, and nothing really ever explained it other than chills. In getting into my later years in life, I got them less and less, so this time I was listening. Bodies send out signals. We should listen to them. That type of thing. So I did, and boy was I glad. I turned around and saw one of my neighbors, who has recently moved in, trailing behind. I've never had a bad encounter with him before. His name is Ed, and he's the most average person you'd ever see. Boring to look, not in a mean way. There just isn't anything recognizable about him. Nothing to know. He doesn't give off bad vibes, but staring at him in the darkness of the night doesn't give off good vibes either. I was really beating myself up for not carrying a weapon with me now, and because of this story, I carry everywhere I go, including the fact that my child, unborn at the time, is really young and I am a defenseless petite woman. So I did the next best thing and tried making conversation. Tired or hungry? I laughed. He didn't respond at first. Then he grunted. Haha, just restless. Sometimes sleep is hard to come across these days. He sounded oddly normal. Tell me about it. This one is kicking around a lot, I said, gesturing towards my belly. I didn't receive a response, so I could only assume he was gone. But it was only moments later I felt arms wrap around me and pull me backwards. My flight or fight response kicked in, and I started thrashing to get free. Everything in my mind faded, and the only thing that really mattered was getting safely out of this situation because I didn't want my child harmed in any way. I scratched at his hands. They were pressing my chest down with major force, and to no avail, he didn't let go. I threw my arms around, not sure what to do with them, before I started reaching for his head. I jammed my thumb into his eyeball, and he finally let go. I didn't think twice before running the rest of the way to McDonald's. It was my best bet. Once I got there, the teenager behind the counter looked at me like I was a ghost. After sobbing for 15 minutes, I got him to lend me his phone. I dialed for the police, and eventually they showed up. Leave it to the police department to even remotely care about the well-being of someone else. I explained everything that happened, earning looks from the police officers. They made me take them to where I was attacked. The blood trail led into the woods. No way in hell I was going in there. My boyfriend showed up and took me home. Flash forward to a few weeks later, and I mean months. The police came to me with some news. Ed, whose actual name was Ed, was wanted in another country for murder. He was a serial killer, and when he fled to America, he had murdered 9 more people. They found him deep in the woods of Alaska, in a cabin, missing one eye. This isn't a joke. okay? I know how clickbaity the title sounds, but I'm 100% serious. You need to listen to this, and you need to listen to this now. Something you should know is that I'm almost completely deaf. Have been since I was 9, and yeah, it sucks about as much as it sounds. With some freak accident on the road, I barely remember it. Tonight I think it might have saved my life. Extended it at least. I'll give you some context. I was at McDonald's drunk with my friend Sarah, whom I had known for basically my entire life. It was about 3 a.m. She had driven us there and she was mostly sober, whereas I was watching the Muppets Christmas Carol on my phone and laughing deliriously. Or in other words, I was completely trashed. We arrived, got a McChicken, whatever. We were just finishing our food when we heard a commotion in the car park. Going outside, we saw a small crowd slightly gathered around one of the parking spaces. We walked towards the crowd, wanting to see what was happening, when an ear-splitting static pierced through the otherwise quiet night air. I ripped out my hearing aids, thinking they were malfunctioning or something. They did that sometimes, so I wasn't overly freaked out, just annoyed. I looked over at Sarah and ran over to steady her as I saw her double over in pain. She went limp and collapsed to the floor moments before I reached her. I shook her, shouting for someone to call an ambulance, and noticing she wasn't breathing, turned her over to try CPR. What I saw, I have no words, no explanations. Her ears were creating pools of blood beneath her. Her eyes were open but unseeing. A toothy grin etched across her face, the kind that's so wide it hurts. I think I might have screamed, but I was far too shaken to notice. I looked up to the crowd, only to see all of them in the same position, collapsed, eyes glassy, ears bleeding, grinning ear to ear. I stepped back fearfully, fully ready to run away. Then I saw it. A cloud of static in the center of the crowd of grinning, bleeding corpses. I was frozen to the spot. I could no longer feel my hands. I think I asked why they were smiling, but I don't know why I would ask that. Who did I think would answer? Then it spoke and I, despite my complete lack of hearing, heard it in complete clarity. They are smiling because they have received me. I am their God. Then it was gone. I ran back into the McDonald's, locking myself into a stall. That's where I am now, writing this. The cops haven't come yet, but I know someone will come soon. I don't know what to do, what to say. What can I say? I'm having trouble typing this. The blood is dripping onto my screen, warm and wet and flowing heavily. My cheeks hurt. I can't stop smiling.